and welcome to Salubre Skin with Dr. Irene. Let's be honest, there are literally hundreds of skincare brands out there, if not thousands, vying for your attention. And what seems to stand out are marketing slogans people can attach an emotional connection with. Skincare that is cruelty-free, vegan, natural, organic, and so on. But the reality is that there are so many brands doing this exact same thing. So brand ambassadors need to come up with more emotional driven material. Here's one I've heard through a third person. Herbs in skincare don't actually have any impact on the skin. This brought me to doing this show for you today, as there are two things that we need to address so that misconceptions like this and other lies aren't believed. So number one, when a person can't stand on their own 2 feet, they will bring another person down. The same has occurred here. So this brand really hasn't got anything different about them. So what they're doing is attaching themselves to a belief that their skincare has this sort of effect, and other skincare with different ingredients have no effect. So it's choose ours because ours works versus not this one because it doesn't work. The reality is I had a look closely at this brand, and they have herbs in there as well. So it kind of dismisses their statement because they actually have herbs. So then how can they be effective if herbs in general aren't effective? The other thing is, if herbs don't have an ability to have an impact when applied onto the skin, then how can they have any impact when ingested? So obviously you would think, well, maybe the macromolecules of the herbs are too big to be absorbed into the skin. The reality is that herbs aren't macromolecules, they're micromolecules. And many times, the beginning of time, in fact, that herbs have been used topically. In actual fact, when I went to China and my skin got worse while I was in China, I actually bathed in herbs, and not actual herbs, because a solid obviously is not going to be absorbed into my skin, but these are extracts. So the active ingredients have been extracted and formed into a liquid. And so that was one way I was managing my skin, through these baths. And it had a very positive impact. So much so that I obviously developed Salubre Skincare, specifically Salubre Cosmeceuticals and Salubre Therapeutics, with the premise that these herbs will initiate a physiological change into the skin and create the effect that we're wanting to create. So if you are hearing things from a marketing perspective, you need to step back and go, okay, is this actually even possible? What's the motivation behind this person making this statement? And are they equipped with enough insight and knowledge about the topic to make this assumption? So you need to understand that someone who's making a phrase or a comment on herbs, well, they need herbal medicine training. So you're not going to ask an osteopath about herbal medicine. You're not going to ask a doctor about herbal medicine. You're going to ask a herbal medicine practitioner specific, intricate details about how herbal medicine works on the body, because that's their training. It's like, you're not going to ask me what pharmaceutical drugs do to the body. Yes, we understand drug-herb interactions, and that's what our studies give us. But a true expert in that field is a doctor, because that's what they're trained to do. So whenever you hear something, ask yourself, what's the motivation behind it? And this also can be extended out into research. When researchers find A, B, C, D, who's funding it, what's their motivation behind this research, and what's the benefit to them individually or as a company to get this information out there. And then you ask yourself whether it's warranted information or not. But that's on a different perspective. Okay, so let's simplify this. And I apologize if I'm a little bit condescending, because I don't know, everyone's got different expertise in this area. But I would like to really look into how herbal medicine works in skincare, and what ingredients do have a benefit and what ingredients don't. So if we take some cream base and we put a little bit of chamomile flowers in it, or we take some dandelion leaves or fennel or something in its raw state, obviously you would not have any herbal medicine benefit on the skin. But when you take an extract, so the extracts have been either the herb has been boiled and the extract has been removed from the solid and entered the liquid, or it's been extracted through tinctures, various ways there's to extract herbal medicine active ingredients. And so when that's done, that becomes a liquid and it becomes water soluble. And as we know, water is absorbed on the skin topically, and these extracts are also absorbed topically through the skin. So when you mix the extract in your cream base, then you've changed a physiological impact that cream is going to have on the skin. So there are macromolecules around, and obviously you're not meant to have a chemistry degree every time you choose a skincare company to utilize their products. You really have to go with trusting they are doing the best thing for you. But many years ago, there was a company, a massive company, which I won't mention, but a big company, ones that use celebrities to promote their stuff on TV, and they've got the big department store stand there in the cosmetic section, and they had a product that had collagen in there, and this was selling between $200 or $300. I can't exactly remember, but it was around $200 to $300, and they had people lining up outside the department store, out through the shopping center. That many people wanted it. And the reality is that collagen is a macromolecule. So what would have happened would have been the collagen would have just sat on top of the skin. Collagen is manifested in the dermal layer of the skin. So in the dermis is collagen and elastin that forms. So what you would be looking at if you wanted an anti-aging product are ingredients that stimulate collagen and elastin production. Or marine collagen is a completely different thing, and that can actually be absorbed into the deeper layers of the skin. But even other ingredients, some ingredients will only get to the epidermis. Epidermis has 7 layers. So sometimes the effectiveness will only get to the dermal layer, not the epidermal layer, not necessarily the dermal layer. So that different ingredients will enter various levels of the skin. And as formulators, we know what ingredient's going to go where and what our objective is. Now, sometimes we do want the ingredients to sit on top of the skin, because in someone who's got acne, they've got lots of pus on the skin. We want to neutralize the bacteria. We want to get rid of it, reduce the lesions. Then obviously there's an element of active ingredients that need to sit on top of the skin. And obviously a lot of masks are great for that. Clay is not going to be absorbed into the skin. It sits on top of the surface, but that's what we're doing. Clay's objective is to take the dead cells off the superficial layer of the skin. So it is actively only working on top of the skin, because that's what we want it to do. Now, there are various masks around that you can use, but the ones that we have are clay-based masks. And so that's what we want. We want to neutralize any bacteria, clean any impurities in the skin, and take off the dirt surface cells that build up over a period of time on the skin to make it look brighter and healthier, and to allow the active ingredients of the other products we use, so the day creams and the serums, that we would use after applying a mask, to enter to the deeper layers. Sometimes the dead surface cells can form this little barrier, and they adhere with all the oils in the skin, so they can create a barrier that prevents the actives from entering the layers of the skin that we want. But by regularly masking 2 to 3 times a week, you're stripping away all those dead surface layers, and you're allowing the actives of the other products to enter. So that's another way to get ingredients to work very successfully on your skin. Now, another note I wanted to make, and this is just a very quick podcast episode because of the inquiry I had. I thought it was important for people to understand. Now, on the flip side, there are ingredients we don't want to enter our skin, but they do. So if certain ingredients are in our skincare, they are too also entering the deeper layers. They are also entering the the bloodstream, and we don't want them to do that. So the products you need to look out for are your parabens, pegs, coal tar. When we're talking about psoriasis, coal tar has been certainly proven to have some alleviating effect on psoriasis, but at the end of the day, it's the tar that's laid on the ground, on the road. So you don't want to be putting that sort of toxins in your system. So avoiding coal tar, and the SLS, SLEs, all those sort of things are not ideal for the skin and for the body. They can create reactivity to those ingredients, so it's best to avoid those as well. And the other thing is also choosing a skincare company that shares the same belief systems as you. You can see that in their story. I was looking for a skincare company that makes baby products, and I actually couldn't find a company that I felt resonated with me to interview them. So I ended up not interviewing and ended up not finding anyone. And I'm sure there's someone out there, but reading their story and seeing whether that's something that resonates with you. Why did they make the skincare? Why did they feel it was important to introduce their product line within society? What are they trying to address? What are they trying to help? And who are they trying to help? And is this something that resonates with you? So that can also give you some insight into the manufacturing processes, the ethics someone has in what ingredients they choose. Are they simply there to make money? Or do they feel that there is something they can provide people with a certain skin presentation that is not available as yet, and they have a product that can do this? So read their backstory, look into the ingredients, and email them, ask them, are your ingredients unique to you, or how do your ingredients work, or whatever questions you have, email them, and I'm sure they should be happy to help. If they're not happy to help, then that might be an indication of what the company's about. So not to put anyone down, because I'm not speaking specifically, I'm speaking in a very broad sense, but the importance of this is that to understand that you need to really look into the brands that you're using, understand what their ethos is and whether that resonates with you, so that you can choose products that are ethically and morally and ethically beneficial for your skin and for your health as well. Okay, so that was a very quick podcast for today, and I just wanted to share with you the fact that herbal medicine does have a very effective way of getting into the skin, and it initiates its physiological effects on the skin to help the desired outcome of the product. But of course, as with anything, when it comes to skin health, inner health is just as important, if not more important. So what we eat, what we drink, what we choose to avoid, lifestyle choices we make, stresses we have, getting out into nature, having great relationships, all that impacts the state of our health, which ought to obviously be mirrored in our skin. So it's not just a one thing that would resolve any condition. It's a multitude of activities and choices we make that will improve the health of our skin. So skincare is just one aspect, and then you should be looking at all the other aspects that you're doing that will be able to assist the benefits of the skincare to get you the outcome you are desiring. Okay, so there we have it for today's episode. Thank you for tuning in to Salubre Skin with Dr. Irene. I hope you found this beneficial. If there's any questions, comment below, email me at info@salubre.com.au, and I'll be happy to answer any questions. And be sure to check out our next episode and subscribe to our podcast, Salubre Skin with Dr. Irene, and I'll see you next time.